Good afternoon, students. We are discussing force and laws of motion. In last class, we have discussed first law of motion. And according to first law of motion, as we have written, a body at rest will remain at rest, and a body in motion will remain in motion unless and until an external force acts on it. So this is the statement of first law of motion. And then I have explained that there are two parts in this statement. The first part says if a body is at rest, it will remain at rest unless we will apply a force on it to just change its position. And it is true also. You will also see that suppose a stone is lying on the surface, it will remain there unless and until you apply a force to shift it. So the first part, I think we have no doubt. And the second part is if a body is in motion, it will remain in motion unless and until an external force acts on it. And then I have given an example that suppose we are pedaling a cycle and cycle is in motion, then we stop pedaling it. So if the cycle is in motion, it should continue its motion. But the cycle stops as we stop pedaling it. Gradually its speed decreases and ultimately it stops. This is because here the external forces are hidden. The external forces are the air resistance, gravity and frictional force which acts between tire and road surface. So external forces are acting on the cycle, due to which it ultimately stops. So this is not a violation of first law of motion. Now the first law of motion gives definition of inertia. As we have discussed in last class that inertia is a very important term. इनर्शिया का मतलब हिंदी में जड़ता होता है. जड़ता यानी अगर कोई चीज किसी स्थिति में है तो वो उसी स्थिति में रहना चाहती है. तो inertia is a natural tendency of an object that it resists a change in its state of rest or in motion. If body is at rest, it always try to be at rest, and if a body is in motion, it tries to remain in motion. So this property of a body is called inertia. Now there are three types of inertia. First is inertia of rest. Inertia of rest, it means a body at rest will remain at rest unless and until we will apply a force on it. Now a very important, although the statement is not so appears to you that it is very important, but the examples are very important and you will get questions based on it. And the first question which we have discussed in the last class was why passengers fall backward when a bus accelerates or start moving from rest. So, as so many students have submitted their homework, I have gone through it, and most of the answers are correct. That when we are sitting inside a bus, our lower portion is in contact with the bus. So as the bus moves forward, our lower portion also moves forward along with the bus. But the upper portion tries to remain at rest due to inertia of rest. As a result, we fall backward because as the bus accelerates, the lower portion moves along with the bus, but the upper portion tries to be at rest. So we fall backward. Then some more questions are given as a homework in the last class. I think I have given these questions page 118. The first question is, which of the following has more inertia? A rubber ball and a stone of same size. So we have also discussed that mass is the measurement of inertia. What measures inertia? Mass of the object. So if more mass, more inertia. Less mass, less inertia. In this way. So out of these two, a rubber ball and a stone, you can easily say that a stone has more mass, so a stone has more inertia. Now B part, a bicycle and a train. Obviously train is massive than a bicycle, so train has more inertia. A 5 rupee coin and a 1 rupee coin. A 5 rupee coin has greater mass, so it has more inertia. Then second question. In the following example, try to identify the number of times velocity of the ball changes. You also make corrections if you have written wrong in your homework. So must listen to me, and accordingly you will make changes if it is wrong here. The football player kicks a football to another player of his team, who kicks the football towards the goal. The goalkeeper of the opposite team collects the football and kicks it towards a player of his own team. So what you have to identify? The number of time velocity of ball changes. So first, a football player kicks a football. So this is first time. To another player of his team, who kicks the football towards the goal. So the another player kicks the football towards the goal. So the second time the velocity of the ball changes. Now the goalkeeper collects the football. So again velocity changes. This is third time, and kicks towards the player of his own team. And when he kicks the football, then again its velocity changes. So 4 times. How many times velocity changes? 4 times. Then third question. Explain why some of the leaves may get detached from a tree if we vigorously shake its branch. So when we vigorously shake the branch of a tree, the branch set in motion, whereas some of the dry leaves which are loosely attached with the branch, they try to be at rest due to inertia of rest, and they are loosely attached with the branch as they are dry, so some of the leaves fall downwards due to gravity. Then the questions we have discussed, and from page 128 I have given question number 2. When a carpet is beaten with a stick, dust comes out of it. Explain. So when a carpet is beaten with a stick, the carpet set in motion, whereas dust particles try to remain at rest due to inertia of rest. As a result, they fall down due to gravity. They fall downwards due to gravity. Now we will discuss today the second law of motion. But before discussing second law of motion, we have to discuss another type of inertia that is also necessary, that is inertia of motion. That is inertia of motion. Now, according to inertia of motion, a body in motion try to remain in motion unless and until an external force acts on it. So you write, according to it, a body in motion always try to remain in motion unless and until an external force acts on it. Okay. According to it, the body in motion always try to remain in motion unless and until an external force acts on it. Now, another very important question. This time, write this question, that why passengers fall forward when a running bus stops suddenly. Or another way of asking this question, why passengers fall forward when brakes are applied on a running bus. So, what is the reason here? Why passengers fall forward? In inertia of rest, we have discussed a question that why passengers fall backward when a bus starts moving from rest. Here, why passengers fall forward when a running bus apply a brake or stops suddenly. This is because when we are inside a running bus or a moving bus, our whole body is in motion, isn't it? Now, as we know, our lower part is in contact with the bus. So, as the bus stops, our lower portion of the body also stops. But the upper portion try to remain in motion. Why try to remain in motion? Due to inertia of motion. As a result, the lower part stops with the bus and upper part try to remain in motion. So we fall forward. I think it is clear to you. So write an answer for it. Write down, when we are moving in a running bus, our whole body is in motion. Our whole body is in motion. As the driver stopped the bus, our lower portion our lower portion of the body, which is in contact with the bus, also stops, but the upper portion try to remain in motion, due to inertia of motion. As a result, we fall forward, or as a result, passengers fall forward. Understood? Now, the another type of inertia is inertia of direction. So, according to it, the body try to maintain its direction always. If it is moving in a particular direction, it always try to move in that direction only. So that is inertia of direction. So write, according to it, the body in motion always try to maintain its direction. Although it is not given in NCERT book in detail, but for your knowledge, I want to tell you, you have seen the circular stone which is used to sharpen the knives and other tools. So when the mechanic just revolve the circular stone and place the knife on the edge, you have seen that sparks are coming out in a particular direction, isn't it? So that is also an example that the object trying to remain in direction, or the object try to maintain its direction. The another example, you have seen that mudguards are provided in bike or in cycle. So when the wheel revolve in a muddy road, the muds come out tangentially in a particular direction, and just to protect us from the mudguard is provided. So all these are examples of inertia of direction. Now there is an important question. Question is question number 3 on page 128. Page 128, question number 3. The question is, why is it advised to tie any luggage kept on the roof of the bus with a rope? Why is it advised to tie any luggage kept on the roof of the bus with a rope? Okay, we can say that it will fall down, but for this question you have to explain on the basis of inertia of rest, inertia of motion and inertia of direction. So first you will say that if we will not tie the luggage with a rope, then when the bus accelerates from the rest, the lower portion of the bag move along with the bus, but upper portion try to remain at rest due to inertia of rest. As a result, the luggage fall behind. This is one explanation. The another explanation is if we will not tie the luggage and bus is in motion, slowly suppose it comes in motion, and when the driver apply a brake, then due to inertia of motion, the upper part try to remain in motion, whereas lower part of the bag or luggage come to rest along with the bus. So there is a chance that luggage will fall forward. Then third explanation, that if we will not tie the luggage and it will on the roof of the bus, and if bus will take a sharp turn, it may be towards left or right, then due to inertia of direction, the luggage will fall sideways. So in this way you have to answer this question on the basis of inertia of rest, inertia of motion and inertia of direction. Because whenever bus take a sharp turn, the luggage try to maintain its direction. As a result, it will fall sideways. Although students have written their answer, but I want this type of answer, that you explain it on the basis of inertia of rest, inertia of motion and inertia of direction. Now let us start Newton's second law of motion. Second law of motion. So open page 118. A reading from NCERT book is very important. You also learn it in home. All lines are very important. So open page 118. I am reading this topic first. It says the first law of motion indicates that when an unbalanced external force acts on an object, its velocity changes. So I think the statement is 100% correct, that whenever we apply an unbalanced force on an object, its velocity changes. There is a change in its velocity. That is, the object gets acceleration. So whenever there is a change in velocity, it means the object gets accelerated. We would now like to study how the acceleration of an object depends on the force applied. Now we will find out a relationship between the applied force and the acceleration produced in the object. How we measure a force and how we can measure this force. So let us recount some observations from our everyday life. So these examples are very important. During the game of table tennis, if the ball hits a player, it does not hurt him. What is the reason? I think you all have seen the table tennis ball. It has its mass is very less, very light. That's why we are not get hurt. On the other hand, when a fast moving cricket ball hits a spectator, it may hurt him. Yes, a cricket ball is massive, so it may hurt the spectator. A truck at rest does not require any attention when parked along a roadside. Yes, if truck is stable, it is parked along the roadside, we are not giving attention because it is stable, it is at rest. But a moving truck, even at a speed as low as 5 meters per second, may kill a person standing in its path. But if a truck has very less speed, 5 meters per second, in 1 second it moves only 5 meters, and if you come in front of it, the truck will kill us because force is very large. Why? Because as you know, truck is very massive. A small mass such as a bullet may kill a person when fired from a gun. Now, a table tennis ball whose mass is very less, so we not get hurt. But a bullet is even smaller in size in comparison to table tennis ball. But a fast moving bullet can kill us. Why? Because it has very high velocity. So just think over these examples. The impact of force depends on mass of the object in first two examples. If mass is very less, impact is very less. If the mass of object is very large, such as truck, so the impact is also large, may kill us. And here, in case of very small object, for example a bullet, and it is moving with very high velocity, so it may kill us. These observations suggest that the impact produced by the objects depends on their mass and velocity. So mass and velocity are very important terms. Mass and velocity of object determines the impact of a force. Similarly, if an object is to be accelerated, we know that a greater force is required to give a greater velocity. Isn't it? So, a greater force is required to produce large acceleration in it. In other words, there appear to exist some quantity of importance that combines the object's mass and its velocity. So from these examples, we conclude that there is a relationship between these two quantities, mass and velocity of an object. One such property called momentum was introduced by Newton. So one physical quantity that was introduced by Newton is momentum. So what momentum is? Momentum combines mass and velocity of the object. So momentum is product of mass and velocity. The momentum p of an object is defined as product of its mass and velocity v. So before we're going to discuss second law of motion, first we will read about momentum. So write a definition for it. The momentum we represent it by letter small p of an object is defined as the product of its mass and velocity. That is, we can write P is equal to m into v. Product of mass and velocity is momentum. Then what will be the SI unit? As you know, SI unit of mass is kilogram. And for velocity, what is the SI unit? Meter per second. So kg meter per second, or you can write kg ms to the power minus. So must remember it. The SI unit of momentum is kg meter per second. Now, momentum is scalar or vector quantity. So, momentum has both magnitude as well as direction. So, momentum is a vector quantity, right? Since momentum has magnitude as well as direction, so it is vector quantity. You will get some numericals also based on momentum. So now, related to momentum, you write a question. Write this question. Represent the following graphically. Represent the following graphically. First, momentum versus velocity, momentum versus 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 velocity when mass is fixed. Second, momentum versus mass, momentum versus mass when velocity is constant, when velocity is constant. This is first question. Then write the second question. Right. Calculate the percentage change in momentum. Calculate the percentage change in momentum when velocity of an object, when velocity of an object increases 4 times, and mass decreases to half, So these two questions you solve it, and next class we have just before it on Sunday evening you can also post me in class for copy, and the Newton's second law and its mathematical derivation, we will discuss it in next class. And what I have taught today, you must go through it, listen it, practice the numericals and the homework which I have given.